Hey guys, welcome to Cinema Wali Baate with me, Cinephile Sanket. So for today's episode, I have invited a very special guest. His name is Ronak Bajaj. So Ronak sir is my college professor, and he taught me understanding cinema in college, and he has a very great insight about cinema, and he is actually a very big Marvel and DC geek. So you will from this episode you will know the insides of like his love for Marvel Cinematic Universe, and also some things about the production of films. So do check it out. So hi Ronak, welcome to Cinema Wali Bate, the talks about cinema. So I just wanted to ask you the first question. What have you been watching recently? Which show or which movies have you been watching?
Hi Sanket, how are you? Firstly, before I tell you what I've been watching.
Uh, I'm fine. I'm just great doing like podcast with like you and even Nisha ma'am, who is your like your college
Correct.
senior. And like
Yes, she
I
is.
was just thrilled to even get you on also on board. And like I'm just thrilled to getting all these guests and talking about cinema in general. So yeah, how are you
Right, right.
actually?
I'm good. I'm good. Recovering from the pandemic and going back to regular life and figuring things out. I don't. You asked me what I've been watching. I've actually not watched anything. So the thing is, if I haven't watched anything in a week, I don't think I watched anything recently. Like I watched, I watched The White Tiger.
Oh
I
wow.
watched. I watched. Yeah, what else did I watch? I watched Archer. I'm waiting to start the new season. Um, Disenchantment, which is by the people who made Simpsons. It's just dark. I love it. So yeah, things like that. I've been watching. What else have I been watching? I finished The Mandalorian, but that was like 3 weeks ago. But
Oh okay.
it is the best thing to come out of Star Wars. So I'm not over it yet, but yeah.
But like, didn't you like the original films and even the prequel trilogy or even the this current trilogy?
No, of course. It's about how the stories were progressing at every point of time. Like the original trilogy, though, is amazing. There's no denying that. Not just for the story it tells, but also for the time that it's made in, etc., etc. Um, the prequel trilogy was okay, but of course, uska centerpiece and selling point was the rise of Darth Vader and things like that. The new films I did not like, definitely, because it was just a repeat of things they were trying to repeat the same emotions and repeat the same kind of takeaway feeling as a viewer, which Mandalorian also does, but it just does it in a unique way with a better character. I mean, that's the point of Star Wars. You can watch any part of it and you will feel the same emotions, you will feel the same warmth, the family aspect of it, the love for each other, the fight for black, white, gray. So I mean, it's all the same. The thematically they're essentially the same, but वो character और उसके साथ क्या हो रहा है. I mean, Mandalorian just is has done it very well. It's right at the top with the original trilogy for sure.
Oh, okay. Like apart from this, any other things have you discovered? And even during the lockdown, any other films have you discovered?
Films that I discovered. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I actually watched a lot during lockdown, but since the lockdown got over and life started resuming to normal, I've forgotten what I watched. I'll have to actually open up my the apps on my phone like Netflix and Amazon and check. Is that fine? Can I do that?
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Like
I'll
it's
know,
completely fine.
I'll know what I watched recently. I watched a lot of documentaries for sure. I mean, documentaries
Okay.
are just brilliant. Um, क्या देखा मैंने recently? Wow, I cannot remember. Mm, The Last Dance was my favorite from last year. I mean, it's a fantastic documentary. The Michael Jordan's and Chicago
Oh
Bulls
wow.
journey. Uh, it's amazing. I'm a huge fan of hip hop. तो हिप हॉप एवोल्यूशन करके एक शो है, वो भी डॉक्यू सीरीज है. um, which chronicles the origin of hip hop in the states and right up to, I mean, they've reached the early 2000s, so they've reached Eminem and things like that, which are my favorite rappers.
Oh wow.
There's Afterlife from last year, also season two, which I absolutely love.
The Ricky Gervais star, right?
Yeah. It's such a like normal take on death and grief and things like that, which is good, which is always good.
But is it like a satirical take? Like I haven't watched or heard anything or read anything about it. Getting to know the series from you, is it like a satirical take or even Ricky
No,
Gervais is also on the show?
I think there are two kinds of people who watch Afterlife. I think एक तो वो होता है कि if you've experienced grief of someone that was close to you and you lost them, so then it's not satirical. Then it's cathartic for you because उनके writing में they've hit every beat of grief. Denial हो जो भी हो. When you're refusing to move on, when you lost someone and you're purposely being an asshole to everyone around you. All of those things are cathartic if you have experienced that. But if you've not experienced that, if you've not lost someone that was very close to you, then it is like you said, satirical dark humor purely. It you when you experience something like that, you would have to go back to Afterlife and sort of think about it. तभी realize होगा कि yeah, like you will literally have to go back to Afterlife after someone in your close life died. I'm sorry, I'm not you, I mean in general, and then you'll experience it in a different way. That's what I mean.
This is okay. Like, yeah. So actually, like even I have been following you on Instagram and like I have been your friend on Facebook. I actually I watched your recent post or even not recent, but like even I followed your post from 2 3 years back also, and you repeatedly was telling that. Like the Marvel Cinematic Universe and even the DC Extended Universe have been impacted you personally in your life. So, what was it like? How can you explain me like what impact did it make it make you?
uh as in what impact it had on me, or what do you
No,
am I
no,
looking for?
impact on you personally. Like, why do you like so much about the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
uh, I think so about 10-12 years ago, when I was a teenager, and without revealing my age, uh, there were not a lot of superhero movies. I mean, there were the old Superman movies and the old Batman movies with Michael Keaton and Christopher Reeves playing Superman and things like that. But like at 15 and 16, being a superhero fan, I felt like there should be more. There should be a lot more. And again, I was not I didn't really grow up on comic book culture. I actually started reading comic books in my teens when I found a cafe in Bombay that had comic books of different kinds. So I'm not really been a comic book reader from before. Like people around the world, or at least in America, are they celebrate and compare the Marvel Cinematic Universe to the comics that they've read as kids. I've not got that opportunity, but. Yeah, but I think it was that the fact that there should be more superhero movies, because that was something that was a part of my imagination, part of some books that I read, but I never saw it on screen. And I always felt that that is something that should come out much more. So, I mean, and Marvel did that. Marvel single-handedly managed to create an entire genre that didn't exist 15 years ago. Before, I mean, they had Incredible Hulk and all that, but when they started MCU back in 2008, I'm sorry, is when they sort of big took like the first step or half a step towards creating a full new genre. So yeah, so that's really commendable, you know.
But
Um,
yeah, actually, even if you talked about like Marvel starting the Iron Man kick started the Marvel Cinematic Universe in 2008. But like even obviously I started watching the Hollywood movies from 2016. But like I couldn't believe that from 2008, Kevin Feige, who was the producer of like all those films, like like how, I was just like shocked about like how did he plan to like make $1 million franchisee, and even like just connecting all those stories and like just giving
Yeah,
what should I see, the like end band a bank to the in the Avengers Endgame, or even Civil War, and even other Avengers films also. But I was just in shocked with it.
correct. Absolutely. I mean, to think that as a producer, you have that kind of vision for 10 or fuck, I mean, can I abuse? I
Yeah,
abused
it's okay. Yeah, 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 yeah,
fuck
it's
10
okay.
years, but I'm sure he started off by thinking maybe 2 to 5 years, and even thinking that forward in a universe के अभी मैं चार नए character introduce करूंगा, I will get those characters right, and then I will put them together in a film, and I will get that right. Between Iron Man 1 and the first Avengers, which is probably the best Avengers out of the 4 or 5 Avengers that we have. Uh, I mean, in a span of 4 years, he had created at least like two of the four characters, and you were in love with the film, of course, with the Avengers film. It was just perfect.
True that,
Like,
actually, like even
mm,
for me, like मेरे लिए ऐसा था कि मार्वल मूवीज देखना है तो सब भेजा, सब घर पे रख के ही देखना, like उसके बिना देखना ही, क्योंकि like what I do is like I when I watch a movie, or even in my laptop or even in my theater, what I do is like just like sit and like observe what how the cinematographer like uh, what he did, like how he lit the entire scene, or like how he used colors, and how the director framed the shot, like the director did his job and all that. But like in Marvel movies, I didn't look anything. Like I just like I just went to I went to the theater just for enjoying it, just for getting the
right.
experience, not for these kind of things. So that's like actually I feel that was experience too. I feel.
I don't know, yeah, but I think, I mean, that is of course true because they are like 100% entertaining. Like, at least 60% of Marvel films are good and 40% are like okay, or some went bad. For me, but I think uske beyond be there, they try and have emotion that of course we generally don't see beyond. I mean, मैं तो fanboy हूँ तो मैं तो हर चीज में extra read करता हूँ, but I think उसमें एक layer of emotion होता है that generally as a viewer you oversee because you're watching a hammer and a hammer wielding thunder god, or you're watching a scientist who has a robotic suit that makes him fly and kill his enemies. But think about it. I mean, if you're interested to think about it, like Tony Stark had issues with what he did eventually, right? वो arms बनाता था उससे उसको problem था. He realized that it had a negative impact. That is a, I mean, of course, we're not saying it very seriously because we're doing it in a superhero universe, but it's still making a statement. Um, so
We
yeah, so things
they
like
did
that.
it like I think they did it with like they did like the Pixar fellows do with their films as well. Like they
I
I
mean, Pixar
think
is a different game altogether, but yeah,
uh,
I mean, I get what you're saying. That it
oh,
comes
like
with.
I didn't get like how Pixar is like a game altogether. Like can you like
I
further?
mean, I don't know. Did you watch Soul?
No,
You
I
have
am
to
yet
watch
to
Soul,
see,
dude.
but
So
like I
it's
have
crazy. So how long have you? How many years has it been that you started working? It's been 2 3 years, right?
uh sorry,
Anyone?
which
You've been working for 2 3 years now, right? Out of college.
no, no, no. I'm just actually like I'm a batch of 2020. I'm a graduate of 2020. So like I
Okay.
haven't been working.
Basically, sorry. Okay, then please cut that part out. Now I'll tell you. I mean, about Soul. I think Soul. And I'm in my late 20s, and up until this year began, I was kind of going through a little bit of crisis with my career. Okay, and Soul just came at the right time. I mean, it didn't give me the answer. I had sort of figured the answer by then, बट सोल क्लियरली पूछता है कि तुमको तुम्हारा पैशन ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है या तुम्हारा पर्सनल वेलबींग ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है, एंड हाउ डू यू स्ट्राइक अ बैलेंस बिटवीन द टू, because sometimes we can get too passionate and forget about our personal well-being, or uh, you can forget your passion easily too if you lose your sort of control over things, you know. I mean, Soul is, I don't know how it's for kids. I don't know how is it animated. It is for adults who are having career crisis or passion crisis towards their career. I mean, I don't know. It was just insane. It was
But
so
that's
good.
actually, that's actually the main uniqueness, and like the main intent of, like, I think that's the main uniqueness of Pixar, that what they
Correct.
do is like make make such a mature film and make it animated so that kids also can watch it. So even I recently watched Wall-E, and like I was just like blown away. Like, how did Pixar say such a cute story, and with such a like a
It's such a
like I
warm takeaway on love, right? It's such a mature
yeah.
takeaway on love.
And even like the loneliness, the depression thing, like we all face it. How can they like just express through animation? So I just love
And in the
how
animation,
they
it's not even human. It's a robot. It's Wall-E. It's not. It's not.
yeah.
You're not
Actually,
even looking at something that looks like you.
actually, like I feel like they in every movie, I feel they can just like make a person cry at the end, at least. Like in
Absolutely.
Wall-E, though, I definitely cried. But in Toy Story also, like I got a little bit emotional as well. But like, what are your favorite Pixar films, if I may ask?
Um, I don't remember all of their films right now. But Soul, of course, more recently, because that's the last one I watched. I don't know what else are Pixar films. I don't remember all of them.
Wall-E, Toy Story, then even I think Monster Inc. and even Up, then
Monster Inc.
Inside
I
Out.
love Monster Inc. Also, it's such a intricate telling in handling kids and told through the perspective of a monster and things like that. Um, uh,
Even
wait, I'll
Up
have
also.
Up is sweet. I mean, Inside Out is their one of their best works. Again, so much in touch with their emotion through that film. It's insane.
Even
Uh,
Coco,
what,
I think
dude?
you
Coco,
liked it.
Coco. I love Coco. I remember I spoke about this in class also, right?
Class, yeah,
Dude,
right.
again, Coco is about the death of a teenage boy, and the way they sort of um, made a whole story out of it. I'm sorry if this is spoiler for anyone that has not watched it. Um, but yeah, I mean, Coco and the music, the treatment, everything that they had was just wonderful. It was just brilliant. And again, I, I there is something that happens in the process of writing. I mean, whoever is sort of leading it or whoever sort of whether it's project to project, but every single time they manage to strike the right balance between sharing a message, but sharing it in an enough way that anybody at any age can get it. You know, it's wonderful.
Yeah, even like when they made it also, when like they also like they included one of the Mexicans cultures also, and also they
Correct.
paid tribute to it. So like I kind
Correct.
of didn't get that exactly. Like I just liked about the film because like it was a like a death of a musician, but like even finding that his great grandfather was also a famous musician, and like he was searching for his soul and all that stuff. So that's why. But like I didn't quite get about the Mexican thing also. But like actually I have to read about it soon. But yeah,
Mm. No, but to
but
answer, in
yeah.
more recent years, Coco is my favorite Pixar film. It's wonderful. It is a film about death, but made in such an interesting way and such a joyful way. It's you don't feel uh, the sadness of death at any point of time anywhere in the story. That is insane. And of course, yeah, they've used the setup of the Mexican Festival of the Dead. I forget what's the name for it. Yeah.
Okay. Like I also like I can't remember it, but yeah. Also, like you like I wanted to divert this conversation with like from this. So
Mhm.
you told me that you are like a producer, creative producer
Right.
in the industry. So
Right.
how did you start your career in Bollywood and like till the time you are here in as a producer in Bollywood.
Right. So I don't know about Bollywood as a term, but of course, yes, I've been working in the industry for the last 6, 7 years. Um, do you want to know how I became a creative producer, or what is it that you want?
Oh, anything so like anything like obviously a creative producer also and like
So I initially after college, so in college we made a lot of short films, and there was a role that I
obviously.
used to play, and there was a role that I used to play, which is a slightly managerial role on all of these productions, and there was some creative involvement in it. But in college, because I was doing a journalism course, I did not know that that was something called as producing, right? I because I also thought that producing or producer is someone that probably puts money or probably backs it or probably brings uh, uh, a large scale project together. I did not understand the concept of what a producer is or an executive producer, assistant producer, anything at all. So I had finished college and someone told me, hey, listen, the thing that you like doing on set, someone just casually told me, it's actually this thing called producing. I'm like, what? That doesn't make sense. What is producing? So before I got into EPing or I got into creative producing, I started off in production because that was the best place to learn. Um, where I did where I worked as a production manager as well as a line producer on different types of projects. Um, I pity line producers because their job is really stressful, and that is not something that I took to very easily. I prefer to be in a slightly more managerial role. Um, so eventually, from production manager, I sort of turned into an executive producer who was essentially a man, again sort of managing the project from multiple ends, whether say from a productions end to look at budgets and things, from a production house end to ensure the right kind of crew has come into place, director, writer, a crew, the right a crew is in place, and of course if there is a client involved, everything is done to the client's needs and requirements. That was my sort of job as a executive producer in that sense. um, and I'd been doing that for about 3 years or so. And I had reached a point where I realized that I want to be sort of creatively involved as well, but I've not really had the training. Up until that point, I had only done brand briefs or cracking videos for brands or cracking pitches for brands, things like that. And I wanted to do original content, and at that time, uh, someone who was my ex professor in college, who was also the development head at iFilms, reached out to me, um, saying, "Hey, what are you doing?" I said, "Listen, I'm completely interested in joining a development team." And development was a concept that I didn't know before at all. Um, and when I heard of it, I was like, "Wow, that's amazing! That it's a collaborative process between a creative producers or a showrunner and writers to sort of put a show together." So yeah, I was very excited, and that's where my sort of Y-Films is where my development or creative journey as such began.
But like I think
Y-Films is
wife.
Y-Films is the was the youth film division of Yash Raj, and they also had a slate of web series.
Oh yeah, the including Bang Baja Bharat, if I am correct,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, correct. That's correct.
So like I wanted to ask you that like in the like when the movie credits get rolled, like हम ऐसे देखते हैं कि like बहुत सारे like credits दिखते हैं कि like there's a producer, then there's an EP executive producer, there's a creative producer, there's a associate producer. So like what are kind of like what are the roles like do all these producers do?
Right. I think if I don't think I'm fit to explain every single producer's role, but I'll give you a broad gist of it.
Mhm.
Um, as an executive producer, you're, like I said earlier, also you're sort of in charge of looking at the overall execution and managing of the project. That it falls under the budget that you've put together for it, that it falls under the timelines that you've put for it, that it meets all the creative requirements, and of course beyond that, if it's missing something from a creative standpoint, you have to give your input and you have to have an opinion on something, or a thought on something, that something's working, something's not working, whether you're making an ad film, whether you're making a short film, a feature film, whatever. A creative producer is kind of, in that sense, a creative manager with less to do with production. Of course, they have to be wary of um, that they are in some sense a more senior producer in the room, so they have to be wary of ki, acha, if I'm suggesting an idea, is that going to affect the production and going to take it 2 times the budget? Then I cannot suggest the idea. If I've been told that I have to make something within a certain budget, my creative solution to it also has to be within that budget. I cannot say ke, okay, you want an idea, but here's my idea which is 10 times more expensive. So creative solutions is something that you look into a lot when you take a production on floors.
Well, so I wanted also to know that like when like when there's a movie being made, what does a like producer do from the starting of the like when the film is actually in the writing phase?
I don't know. When I make a film, I'll tell you.
No, but
But
in general,
I
if
mean, from what I've generally observed, I've been around people, producers making films. I've not been a part of one myself, um, but I mean, whether you're a producer for a film or a producer for a fiction show or a show in any sense, you have to have some kind of vision for it, right? Or at least like an idea of a vision, which of course then the writer and the director have to further it, uh, so on and so forth. It can also be the other way around. You're a producer and a writer or a director or both sort of approach you and tell you, okay, we have this idea, and and you somewhere believe in it, and that's when you sort of um, start taking the project forward. I think it's a lot of um, this whole trio of writer, producer, director, and then the rest of the departments also, when you go into production, works a lot on, you just have to trust each other's um, creative instinct, right? You just have to trust कि सामने वाले को समझ गया मैंने क्या बताया है. Because sometimes it translates on paper, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it translates on floor, and sometimes it doesn't. And those are just a combination of risks you're taking all the time. The one thing I learned is, as in producing, the short time that I've been producing, is the fact that even on the even when you're most prepared, anything can go wrong. So you have to be okay with the worst case scenario and make the best with it. Like you have to be prepared for the worst case scenario, but if the worst case scenario doesn't happen, then you're having a good day. Yeah, so
oh,
that's
okay,
what it is.
but
So
like
yeah,
yeah, continue. Sorry.
no, so yeah, so it's not just um, finding the money or funding the film itself. It's also about having a creative input to, as to seeing the potential in the material that is there in front of you. That is also a very important job of a producer, and a producer's keen eye.
But also does a producer think about like ये आइडिया आया है तो मेरे पास मतलब ये मेरा आइडिया है तो ये बॉक्स ऑफिस में कमाएगा तो ही मैं करेगा ऐसा like do the also the producers think about that?
Yeah, I'm telling you, I don't know. I've not done any box
No.
office projects, so I cannot speak for them. Um, but yeah, I mean,
Oh,
when you look at a script, when you look at a story as a producer, um, I've only looked at shows. I've seen a few film scripts, but not enough to, and I haven't made a film, so I can't say anything. Um,
Mhm.
but when you look at anything, I particularly, I mean, that's every producer's own taste and creative vision that you sort of develop over time. Whenever I look at a script, I look for a balance of, can I see a relatable story in the script, yet something unique in it at the same time, right? Because that for me is a balance in a story, and that is very important for me in any story that I'm sort of trying to make. There has to be equal parts of relatability and equal parts of uniqueness to it. So yeah, and everybody so looks at it differently. You can't compare one to the other. That's why they make slightly different films from each other.
Oh, okay. But so I think like before wrapping this up, like I just wanted to ask you one final question, and I asked this to all of my guests, even. So what are your favorite films? If like something just some good films just came into your mind.
Um, Good films in my mind. Jaane Bhi Do Yaro is my favorite film.
Oh yeah,
Did I show that in class?
yeah. You showed us in the class, and
Yeah,
just the
I
class went
remember. I
just
remember this
insane.
clearly. I remember this clearly when I was switching on the film. Everyone asked me why we watching a 35-year-old film, and I said just watch this film. And then the film got over, and everyone was crazy about it. I don't know if you remember this.
I know. I actually
Yeah,
attended all of your classes, and I know, like the guy who used to board it. I know, and also like even like I asked one of my classmates, then like, have you did you like the film? And he went just, oh wow, like the film was just crazy, and like even in general also the like the comedy and even the uh, satire element also, and even like
yeah. I mean,
the
every
element.
satire element, every social satire element in it is still relevant today. It's insane that I think 87 or 83, I forget which year is Johnny with the Euro, but whatever,
I
33 or
think
35 years in.
83
Yeah,
at
yeah. I mean, so
1983.
many years later, it's still so relevant. It's one of my favorite films of all time, for sure. Johnny with the Euro. Again, see, I love it for the balance that it has in terms of uh, it's relatable in the sense of कि दो struggler photographers हैं बॉम्बे में कुछ करना चाहते हैं and then they get caught in this sort of a scam ish thing, um, and it very easily sucks you in. Yeah, so that's a great film. What else? uh, so you asked me films only or films and shows both?
I think films, but like if you want to talk about shows, like it's like
See, I mean, at some point in my life, also, I would love to. I don't know if I'm sort of trying to figure out how I do that, but I'd love to make something that is that's a dark comedy, just like Kidding. Kidding has been a very interesting show that came out recently. I also really like the. One thing that I don't talk about very often is because I don't find a lot of people to talk about too, at least in the professional space, because कोई बनाएगा नहीं. But dystopic films, right? I love dystopic films, um, like a Clockwork Orange or 2001: Space Odyssey. Stanley Kubrick's like prime work is just, it's brilliant. I mean, I don't. It's difficult for me to even uh, think of something like that. But I'm in just awe of those films. It's just insane.
but
Even
like
Doctor Strangelove. Doctor Strangelove is so relevant today, whether it's interpersonal relations between any countries, still between any country's relation with Russia, India, Pakistan relations. Doctor Strangelove is just timeless again.
but
So
like any more examples of dystopian? I think like for me, dystopian films are like set in future films which are talking about the apocalypse. If I correct me if I'm wrong,
no, so
right?
it doesn't have to be the apocalypse every time. It can just be a bad state of social um, affairs. Uh, yeah, which is what a Clockwork Orange was. A Clockwork Orange wasn't futuristic. It was about a social a time
But
in
I feel
society
he
when
made the film for the future, I think, because like how
exactly, but
relevant.
you're saying it's relevant today, right?
Yeah,
In terms of the gender disparity and the gender conversations that we keep having. You're correct. It's he made it for the future, but he was imagining it then. So he was imagining it with enough happening around him to think of
Mhm.
that. So that's why. So no, I don't think it's just futuristic films with superhero or with sci-fi and things like that. I think sci-fi is one and dystopia is one. Like a good dystopia sci-fi mixes in 2001 A Space Odyssey, jo long silences and things, just fantastic things in it. Yeah, 100%.
Just Stanley
One of my other
Kubrick
favorite
doing
shows,
Stanley Kubrick things.
yeah, 100%. One of my other favorite shows to come out recently is Unorthodox, also on Netflix. Um, it is it's a show of a girl who sort of escapes um, from a very strict Jewish community,
Oh
and
yeah.
I
I
think
know, I
that's
know.
fantastic. That's
It's
also
a German
fantastic
series,
show.
if I'm right, right?
I think so. Yes, I think so.
Yeah. Actually, when I watched the Emmys, it was just coming that it was getting nominated for many such awards, and like, what the hell is this? And just I googled it, and it was available on Netflix, and like I just added that series on my watch list, and like it was
Really.
said
I
that
love I love
something about.
Unorthodox. It's so it's so liberating to see her so liberated. It's brilliant. It makes you feel like you should fight for whatever it is that you want to fight for in life, for sure.
Oh, okay. So Ronak, thank you so much for doing this conversation, doing this podcasting.
Thank you for
I'm
having
just
me.
like,
I hope I was not boring.
oh no, not at all. Like I just loved. Actually, I learned a couple of things from you about.
I'm not your professor
Obviously.
anymore. Stop saying you learned anything from me. You didn't learn anything from this conversation. You just learned about the things that I like. That's it.
No. Actually, even not also I just learned about like what a producer does. Even not like you not being a producer yourself, but like you having such a knowledge about being a producer. So I am hoping like you'll be a like, Karan
No, I am
Johar
a
or a
producer.
Kevin
I'm just not
Feige.
a film producer. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Like you will be a big Kevin Feige in future.
Oh, no,
I'm
no, no. That is too much pressure, Sanket. I cannot take that. Please.
Oh, okay, so no problem. But yeah, thank you so much for doing this. So, goodbye.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for having me. I hope you had fun too.